Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be my monthly beauty report for the month of January. Basically, this is my version of a shop my stash video. If you're not new to my channel, then you know that I'm on a little bit of a low buy journey and I'm wanting to cycle through my makeup collection, which is really extensive, and really determine the items that add value to my collection and those that can be decluttered. So this is what my monthly makeup basket looked like for January. I'm going to go through each of the individual products, kind of let you know how I enjoyed them and what their fate in my collection might be. Before we get into the video, if you're new here, I'm Jody. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you're going to enjoy it. And if you do, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up for me and consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to be friends. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into the video. This is the first time that I'm sharing my makeup collection in this way, so I kind of want to show you how I organized it. It's pretty much in categories. You have primers, contours, foundations, concealers, powders. These are eyeshadow primers, glitter glues, etc. We have mascaras and eyeliners, brow products, lip products, and then color cosmetics. So I have bronzer, blushes, and highlights. That's everything in this drawer, but I have one more drawer to share with you. Here we have drawer number 2, and basically here I have dual-ended makeup brushes. I store them in here, or really bulky ones like this that kind of don't fit upright on my vanity. I have eyeshadow palettes in these 2 containers. I went over the month's eyeshadow palettes in a separate video. I will link that up in the cards if you'd like to check it out. And here I have more face palettes and single eyeshadow products. So I'm going to add these to the ones in the first drawer and we'll go ahead and get into it. Alright, so because of the way I set up my monthly makeup basket, I can just remove the trays and sit here on my rug and go over each of the products individually. We're going to get into this basket first with the complexion products. These are the 5 products I've been using kind of as primers. I'll start with the Auric Glow Lust, and this one is in the shade Selenite. And I've been using this one mostly to mix with my foundations this month. I really enjoy it to make my foundations have a more luminous finish. And that's a swatch of Selenite. Another primer that I've been using is this Tarte Glotion. I got this in a BoxyCharm and it's a skin perfector. This one I apply as a true primer before applying my foundation, but I'm sure you could mix it with foundation as well. And here's a small bit of it. It may look a little intimidating, but it actually blends in with the skin really, really well. I don't find that it adds a ton of pigment. Next, we have the Touch in Sol Icy Sherbet Primer. If you watched my monthly favorites for January, you probably saw this show up. Such an interesting texture, and this one is really, really good at blurring fine lines. I really enjoy this primer. It's very unique in my collection. Next, we have another product I got out of a BoxyCharm. This is the Farsali Liquid Glass. It's supposed to be like a skin serum that's supposed to be radiant, and I've been applying it before foundation. There's that primer, so you can see it's very serum-like, and again, it doesn't have any pigment, and even though it looks like it might have shimmer, it actually doesn't have any shimmer at all. It's another product that I got out of BoxyCharm. It's okay. It's not something I would repurchase, but while I have it, I will definitely use it. And the last one is an oil. This is the Fresh Sea Berry Face Oil. And this one I have had to mix in with a specific foundation to make it just a little bit more hydrating for my dry skin. These are the 4 foundations that I've been using this month. And of the foundations, I have to say that these 2, the Nabla Skin Realist Foundation and the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Foundation, to me, these products are identical. So if you have one and you were curious about the other, they're essentially the same thing in my opinion. The consistency is very similar. The shade for me is very similar. The Nabla, I have it in the shade number 2 light, which is surprising. I have a feeling that the shade range for this one is not that good if I am in the light range. And the Urban Decay, I have it in the shade 41. I could potentially do for a hair lighter, but it's been working really well for me. Both of these foundations are ones that I've enjoyed mostly when I mix them with the Glow Lust because they have a little bit more coverage than I personally prefer. When it comes to the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint, I was surprised at how much coverage this has, and I actually prefer it applied with a brush because I feel like I get a little bit less product than when I apply it with a beauty blender, which is interesting. And this is the foundation that I was mixing with a beauty oil because I just found that it was giving me way too much coverage for what I was expecting, and I wanted to make the finish a little bit more luminous. This I would describe as a more natural finish. The Urban Decay and the Nabla also range more on the natural finish foundation, which is why I was mixing them with the Auric Glow Lust. Last, we have a fail for the month. This is the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint Foundation. I have mine in the shade ST9 Paloma. And if you saw my monthly favorites for January, you saw that this was a fail for me. I really didn't enjoy this product. I tried it every which way with luminizing primers, with no primers, with hydrating primers, and it just would never give me the coverage that I needed. This one is light coverage even for me, and I prefer light coverage foundation. There's also something strange about the shade. When you swatch it, it actually looks okay. So here's a swatch of it. You can see that it kind of blends with my skin, but then once you start blending it out, it looks like it almost separates. I don't know, there's just something about it. And then when I apply it, it kind of leaves me a white cast, and I don't like that at all. It doesn't play well with any of the primers that I have. I don't know, it has this funny smell to it as well. And even though it claims to be SPF 40, you would have to apply a ton of this to get SPF 40. So this one unfortunately is being decluttered. Let's move on to concealers next, and I also have a color corrector. The color corrector is my Charlotte Tilbury in the shade number 2, and I like this just fine. It's a really nice peachy shade, and as far as color correctors go, I enjoy this one. I used 3 concealers this month. The Pat McGrath Labs concealer is in the shade LM14, and it is way too dark for me, but I do like the consistency of it. I'm noticing that I prefer concealers that are a little bit more dry, a little bit more matte, because they disguise my problem area, which is my under eye. So I actually really like the formula, but since I haven't seen sunlight in a very long time, the shade is actually too dark for me. The Rare Beauty concealer I have in the shade number 210N, and this is one of those concealers that are really thick and supposed to be hydrating. And I agree with that, but I also find that when concealers are really thick, they have a tendency to crease a little bit more. And when they're dry, they kind of stay put. So for that reason, I prefer the Pat McGrath concealer, even though this one is okay. Reminds me a lot of the e.l.f. hydrating concealer, the hydrating camo concealer. So if you were looking for a dupe, I think that would be a very good dupe for the Rare Beauty concealer. This one is a much better shade match, and I think it's okay, so I'm going to keep it around, but it's not my favorite. The Kosas concealer is definitely one of my favorites, and the shade is very good too. I have the shade 5.5, and it is good for concealing under my eyes, but also on my face because it kind of pretty much matches my skin tone. I would need a lighter shade if I wanted to highlight. This one is a hydrating concealer as well, but the formula is a lot thinner than the Rare Beauty, and I like it a lot better. So when it comes to concealers, I do need a slightly thinner formula if it's going to be a very hydrating formula, and so I really enjoy the Kosas concealer. So I've made some heavy swatches, so hopefully you can see the texture. You can see the Pat McGrath concealer is a little too dark for me, right? But you can see the formula is a little bit more dry. Here's the Rare Beauty, and it has that creamy consistency, but it's a little bit thicker. And you can see the Kosas concealer, even though I put the same amount, you can see it's much thinner than the Rare Beauty. Of the 3 concealers I was using this month, the Rare Beauty is definitely my least favorite. These are the 2 eyeshadow bases I was working with this month. The first one is the Too Faced Glitter Glue product, and I think that this has been discontinued. I was actually looking for it to link it in one of my videos, and I actually could not find it. I didn't check the Too Faced website, but on the Sephora website, it was not in stock anymore, so it may be discontinued. If you're looking for an alternative, NYX makes a glitter glue as well. For my eyeshadow primer, I was using the Makeup by Mario primer. You can see it here, and I like this primer, but I have noticed that I like to apply it better with my fingertips. The 2 cream products, they're a little bit more dry, and so if I use my finger, I kind of press it in there, and as I press into the product, it melts it down a little bit, and then I'm able to apply it. I have a tendency to use the lighter shade when I want my colors to pop, and I use the deeper shade, which is more similar to my skin tone, when I want kind of like a clean canvas for just a light makeup look. I also enjoy the setting powder. This is nice even under the eye, and I like to use it just underneath my brow so that other shadows blend really nicely. There are those 2 shades swatched, and again, I can use both of them. If you're lighter than me, I probably would recommend you go with the lighter version. This one would probably suit anywhere from a medium to tan skin tone, and then they have a number 3 for deeper skin tones. If you're not new to my channel, you know I don't use a lot of powders. Mostly I just powder underneath my eyes, and the powders I was using this month are the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder, and I have mine in the shade number 2. This is really nice to set my under eyes because it is matte. And again, even though I have dry skin and I like a luminous finish, I prefer a matte under eye because I find it really blurring. And then we have the Pat McGrath Labs Sublime Perfection Under Eye Powder. And this one is the yellow version. This is one that I picked up during the Sephora VIB sale. I now have this in 3 shades and they all work very well for me. I have it in the shade light, in the shade medium, and in the yellow shade. Highly recommend both of these powders for setting the under eye. These are the 2 contour products that I use. I have the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand. I hate the packaging on this product, but it still remains my absolute favorite cream contour product. And I also have the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick, and this one is in the shade Biscuit. They have recently added a 3rd shade, so it comes in 3 shades now. This is the lighter of the 3 that are available. The packaging on this one is so beautiful. It's magnetized, and basically you just kind of turn it to dispense the product. Here's swatches of the 2. This one is the Charlotte Tilbury, this one is the Westman Atelier, and believe it or not, despite the fact that the Charlotte Tilbury looks much deeper, this one is much easier to blend out. It's more like a liquid. The Westman Atelier is a cream. They both blend out easily, but the Charlotte Tilbury, in my opinion, is easier to work with. And the Westman Atelier is a little bit expensive too, so that's something to consider. So we're all finished with one of the trays. We'll move on to the next one. So this one has brow products, liners, lip products, bronzer, blush, and highlight. So this month I tried to introduce a little variety into my makeup products, and this one you're going to see it in my rotation every single month, so I probably won't share it past this month. But essentially this is the ABH Highlighting Duo Pencil, and the side that I'm using is this side. I use it to clean up underneath my brows. So once I apply my brows, I will just apply this just underneath to clean it up and give me a more highlighted effect. Sephora Collection makes some pencils that are really nice and similar, and it doesn't have the other end. I can swatch the other end for you, but it's not something that I've been using. I probably could if I ever wanted a more shimmery highlight. It's not a bad shade. So yeah, this one is going to stay in my rotation until I finish it, so I probably won't share it again. I have a couple of pencils. The first one is the Rhode Isle Glamour Brow Pencil, and it is in the shade Dark Ash Brown. There's a swatch of that one, and you can see that it has a fine point. It's not as fine as the ABH Brow Wiz or the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. But one thing I like about this is that the cover for the spoolie is clear, so you always know which end is the spoolie. And then you can see that the cover for the actual pencil is a little bit longer, and so you kind of always know which side is the pencil, and you're not going to run any risk of jamming the pencil into the cap, which is something that's a little bit annoying with the Brow Wiz. The next one is something that I got in a subscription box. This is the Ofra Universal Eyebrow Pencil, and it's one that you sharpen, and I have sharpened it, but as you can see, the line is much thicker here, and I find that this makes my eyebrows look painted on. It's really hard for me to get hair-like strokes with this, and I'm not enjoying it. I never like the way my brows look when I'm using this, and so this one is being decluttered. Next is something that was kicking around my collection for a long time. This is the KVD Brow Struck Powder in medium brown, and it's really interesting. And when I open it up, you can see the product has a little bit of a shimmer to it. That's supposed to mimic the dimension of natural hairs, but what I find is that the shimmers that are in the product make the product a little bit looser. So when I dip my brow pencil in here and I go to apply it to my brows, there's a tiny bit of fallout, which I don't experience with the ABH product. So I like the ABH one more, but this one is workable, so I'm gonna keep it in my collection, but it isn't my favorite because of that fallout. You have to kind of remember to tap off your brow pencil, and that's something I never have to worry about when I'm using the ABH one, so it's okay. I remember I bought this because Stephanie Nicole put it in her favorites video once. It's really pretty packaging. I'm not sure if the brand even still makes this product. And last but not least is the brow gel that I've been working with. This is the Hourglass Arch gel, and it's one of those fiber gels. The brush was really nice because I don't know if you can see, but one side has longer bristles and the other one has shorter ones. So you can use the shorter ones to apply the product and the longer one to brush it through. And I found that this worked really well on days that I didn't want to do my brows. So if I didn't want to work with these products, I could just brush this through my brow and it would give me a little bit of volume, a little bit of filling, and it was good enough for a light makeup day. But this one is now empty, and so I'm going to go ahead and move that to my empty besties. Mascaras and eyeliners are next. We'll start with this one. This is something I used in my TikTok video about TikTok hyped products. I like the finished look of this mascara when it's applied. I like the wand aside from this flexibility issue. It is so bendy, look at that. And I find that once I build up the product, then the wand can no longer comb through because it just kind of bends and it slides over what's already there. So that's something that kind of bothers me about this product. And then to wash it off, it washes off really easily with water. But if you have like an oil makeup remover, it's not gonna be able to remove this. So you have to wash this off with water, which is fine. So it works kind of like a tubing mascara, but this bendy wand is kind of a deal breaker for me. Even though I like the effect that it gives, I'm gonna use it up, but I will not repurchase. The Victoria Beckham mascara is something I've had in my rotation since I did my Victoria Beckham beauty video. And with this one, you can see the wand is a little bit curved and it's a natural bristle wand. I believe this one is supposed to be a tubing mascara as well, but this is entirely too natural for my liking. I don't find that this gives my top lashes much of any effect whatsoever. So I've pretty much been using it on my lower lashes, but to be honest, this mascara was a disappointment for me, and it's a shame because it's really expensive. Of the three mascaras I was using, this is my favorite, the Lancome Lash Idole mascara. And the reason why I like this one is because it has a plastic bristle wand, and then that curve allows you to get really close to the inner corner and also the outer corner lashes. So it's really nice at giving you that fanned out effect. Put it like this, you can take a look at the brush. It is a plastic bristle brush, but the bristles are not too long, so it's not something you have to worry too much about stabbing your eye. And I like that the wand doesn't have that flexibility issue like the Maybelline one does. For eyeliners, I've got two pencils. I've been using this one in my Waterline Too Faced Killer Liner in the shade Killer Cashmere. I really like these pencils. They're very creamy and it does last on the waterline. Really like those. They're ones that you sharpen. And then on my upper lash line to tight line, I've been using the Urban Decay Zero. This is basically the black shade. This was a sample that I've had. I can't imagine that anyone would ever have to buy these. These are always available as samples and they're very good. I like how easy it is to tight line with them, but it does transfer to my lower lash line a bit. So that's a little bit annoying, but it's a very good liner. And then I have a gel eyeliner from Lethal Cosmetics, and I found that this is already starting to dry. It's not even that old in my collection. I can revive it with Duraline, but it's a little disappointing that it's already kind of drying. This was from the Teresa's Dead collection in the shade Ectoplasm, but it does apply really nicely to the waterline, and I enjoy colors like this when I'm doing colorful makeup. I do have some liners like this from the Melt Cosmetics line, and I like those better because even though they're older, they haven't started drying out like that. I've got two bronzers I've been working on this month. The first one is by Vive, and with this one, it is more of a palette, so you do have two shades to work with. It's a powder bronzer. It's a very soft texture, and I do like that they give you two shades. Here's swatches of the two shades. They don't look that different. This one is a little warmer, this one is a little cooler. Mostly I just use them interchangeably. It's a really nice bronzer. I like that it's a matte bronzer. It gives you a natural finish. I apply it over unset foundation and it works fine. I did a whole video on the Vive products, and this one was just, you know, it's an okay bronzer. I like it. I don't think it's going to be my absolute favorite. Then we have a really interesting bronzer that I pulled out of my collection because I saw somebody mention it in their yearly favorites, and I remember I had it in my collection. And what's interesting about this one is that it's a shimmery bronzer. It looks almost like a highlighter. So this one is in the shade Bronzino, and it actually comes in about 5 shades. It's really, really emollient, and it has a shimmery finish. So it almost looks like it would be a beautiful highlight for deeper skin tones, but it's right there. I've actually been able to use it as a bronzer, and it's one that has a luminous finish. When you actually blend it out, it just has a luminosity to it and no longer looks kind of like that highlighting effect. So it's a really interesting bronzer. Not anything I would have picked up on my own. I only picked it up because it was getting really, really good reviews because, yeah, to me it looks like a highlighter for richer skin skin tones. And that's what the bronzer looks like. It actually works out really well. I've been wearing it quite a lot. Here are the blushes that I had in rotation, along with some that are in a palette. So I have two creams. The first one is the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand. And I had remembered that I bought this and swatched it, but I hadn't used it in a video. So that is what, I believe this one is Pink Gasm. Yeah, that's what Pink Gasm looks like. It's definitely a luminous blush. It has the same mechanism as the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand. This one's not as messy just because I haven't used it as much, but it is a really beautiful luminous blush. You almost don't need a highlighter when you're wearing this. I mean, you really don't. I apply it just because I like to have a highlighted skin, but it's not necessary. I also use the Merit blush. This one is the Terracotta Cheek color, and I really enjoyed this one. So here's a swatch of it. These are much lighter than what they appear in the packaging, and they blend out really, really nicely. You can apply these to the lips and cheeks. I only apply them on the cheeks, and you can either paint it on your face and blend it out with a sponge or a brush, or you can take your sponge or brush and dip into the product and then apply to your face. It gives you a little more control that way, but these blend out really nicely, and so I'm never afraid to apply it directly to my face. These are really, really nice, and the shade I've been using is Terracotta. These two blushes were from my TikTok video, and they are from Dior. They are the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow blushes, and I have both of them. These are really unique blushes just in that the texture and what you see in the pan is absolutely misleading from what it looks like when you apply it to the skin. My favorite, and you can kind of tell that it has a lot more use, is the pink one, which is shocking, especially when you look at the color. I'm gonna swatch it, but it doesn't really mean much in a swatch. So I use these for my TikTok video as well, because these have been super hyped on TikTok. That's what they look like. And you can see how ashy they look when I swatch them. But when you apply them to the face is when you really see the magic. They're actually really, really nice blushes and very unique. So I'm glad that I have them. This pink one was in my favorites for the month. These are the three highlighters I was working with that were individuals. Again, I have something else in a palette, but I have pretty much every variation. I have a powder one, I have a liquid, and I have a cream. So we'll start with the Pat McGrath Labs Bridgerton highlighter. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's definitely undeniable that it's a beautiful product, but I personally did not love the shade on me. It has a yellow shift to it. Even though it looks champagne in the pan, it really does have some kind of a yellow shift, which is really interesting. And I found that it didn't really go along with the palette very well. So this one is in the shade Incandescent Gold 002. And here's a shade of that one. I mean, here's a swatch of what that one looks like. It's pretty, it suits my skin tone. The texture is nice on it too, but it's not going to be my favorite Pat McGrath highlighter. I enjoy the eyeshadow palette from this collection much more. The cream highlighter that I was using was the Westman Atelier, and it's in its little sleeping bag. Another item from the TikTok video, and here's what that one looks like. I've actually used this one a lot more than I would like to admit. It's a $75 highlighter, so it's very difficult for me to recommend it. The more I use it, the more I like it. And on a swatch, it kind of looks like it might be too deep, but this blends out so nicely and it gives you a lip from within glow. I really think that this would suit even a lighter skin tone than me, because when you blend it out, it just looks like a glow from within and it doesn't look like a stripe. So you can see it kind of goes into my skin. If you're very fair, I probably wouldn't recommend this one, but if you're light, medium, or deeper, I think that you can use it. Even if you have a rich skin tone, I think you can use this as well because it doesn't have a lot of base color. It truly just blends and melts into the skin. It's so interesting, but it's $75. It is so expensive. This one is in the shade Peau de Pêche. I've seen someone else mention these on her channel, and she did comment that the Peau de Rose, I believe there's one that's more rosy in tone, has glitter in it. This one has no glitter. Like, there's no shimmer, visible glitter. It truly looks like your skin is glowing from within. The Charlotte Tilbury one is more of a liquid highlighter. Again, same deal with that sponge. This one is a mess, but here's a swatch of that one. It's definitely lighter, but it has a similar effect as the Westman Atelier in that it blends out and it just looks like your skin is glowing. It doesn't look like anything shimmery. It's just a beautiful, beautiful glow. It's a very nice product. I do understand why these wands from Charlotte Tilbury are always sold out. Moving right along to lip products. This one is just a balm that I use while I'm applying my makeup. This one is from Kosas. It's in the shade Baseline. It's fine. I like the tinted ones. I keep them in my bag. Well, I used to keep them in my bag when we didn't have to wear masks, but now it transfers to the masks, so I don't use them as much anymore. But it's just a clear balm, and it's a nice one. Not necessarily one that I would repurchase. It took me a while to get used to this shape. I have 3 pencils, and the first one is by e.l.f. This was the Nabela Noor collab, so it's no longer available, but it is a really nice lip liner. It's just a very nice deep nude, and it's one that you sharpen, so I feel like you always keep the product very fresh, and she did a great job with that collaboration. I use that one a lot with lighter colored lipsticks. Another nude that I shared in my favorites video because it goes so well with one of the lipsticks. This is the Melt Perfectionist Lip Liner, and it is a slightly lighter shade than the Nabela, but now you see they're kind of almost dupes. This one is more cool tone. The Nabela has more of a mauve-y, rosy nude shade. And the last one is the Lisa Eldridge Dragon. These are such amazing lip liners, but they are so expensive. I think they're about $28. And you notice I have a type. I love a liner that you can sharpen. So here is the Lisa Eldridge. I love a creamy lip pencil, and this one I haven't used that much because it's a very bold shade, but they are so creamy. If I could kind of settle on one lip liner to use forever, it would be hers, assuming my wallet could handle it, because for lip liners, they're very, very pricey. But you can see I have a type. I like lip liners that you sharpen and that are very, very creamy. Of these 3, the Melt Cosmetics was the least creamy, and so it's not really my favorite formula, but I really like the color. So for lipsticks, it's basically been these on rotation. I'll share the bullet lipstick first. This is the Christian Audette in the shade Company Card. This is the nude lipstick that I've been wearing pretty much on rotation. And here's that swatch for you. Super creamy, really pretty shade. You can see it would go well with either of the 2 nude lip liners, but I've been wearing it a lot with the Melt. It's so pretty, and I like it when I wear colorful makeup because it's just neutral. It doesn't interfere with what's going on with my eye makeup. Another interesting formula that I don't see many people talk about, this is the Shiseido Visionary Gel Lipstick, and it goes on so interestingly. So this one, it really does go on as a gel. It's super creamy, so you get complete opacity right away. Like I barely touched my skin, and you can see how intense the color is. I have a couple more in this line, and I'm really excited to use them. They've been sitting in my collection a while, and they come packaged inside like a sealed bag, which is interesting. I love the opacity of it, and I like that it kind of sets into your lips, and then it's very long wearing. Not transfer proof, but it's really long wearing, and the shade is so pretty. This one is Cherry Festival. I'm gonna link everything in the description box down below if you're interested in checking out of any of those items. I do appreciate if you use my links because it gives me a tiny bit of commission that allows me to put right back into the channel. Let's go ahead and talk about these 2 next. I have a Sephora Collection Cream Lip Stain. This one is in the shade number 13, and it's a very pretty mauve pink color. These are really nice as far as liquid lipsticks go, because they are, again, long wearing, and it's more of a cream formula, so it's not gonna be 100% transfer proof, but it is very long lasting and it's pretty comfortable. It's also really nice to get a nice lip line with those. I really enjoy them, and they are more affordable as well. I think they're about $14, and they come in like literally like 100 shades. This one just happens to be number 13. Then we've got a NYX lip product. This one is the Shine Loud Born to Hustle, also from my TikTok video. And this is a dupe for the Chanel product. I'll be trying out the Chanel product this month, and I'll report back at the end of February and let you know if they're a good dupe for the Chanel product after all. So this one is in the shade Born to Hustle, and the whole idea with this is that it is a cream, or actually a liquid lipstick, so you could see it applies like a liquid lipstick. Very pretty shade. You kind of let that set just a little bit, and then you set it with this gloss on this side. So it has a brush tip applicator, and you brush the clear gloss over it, and then it makes it transfer proof. It also gives it a really nice glossy finish, which is a unique thing for a color like this to be transfer transfer proof and glossy. Because usually if you take a liquid lipstick, you put a gloss over it, then it kind of loses that transfer proof capability. But this one actually makes the color transfer proof, even though the gloss does continue to transfer. It does wear off over time, so you kind of need to apply, but it's a really interesting formula as well. And I like the shade that I picked out. I'll be trying the Chanel out this month, see if it's a dupe. And the last lip product is by Pat McGrath. This is one of her lip glosses, and it's in the shade Twilo. This is the reason I have the Lisa Eldridge lip liner. And here's what that one looks like. It's a very bold shade. I'll go ahead and give it a swatch. So you can see it's kind of like a peachy pink or rosy pink, orangey pink shade. And with the Lisa Eldridge lip liner, it gave it a little bit more punch. I don't have too many Pat McGrath lip glosses. I enjoyed this one. I have a couple of minis that I haven't tried, so I might pull those in. But based on my experience with this one, I think that they're just okay. I still think the Lunar Beauty lip glosses are my absolute favorite lip glosses, and they're a lot less expensive than these. But I thought they were okay. I'm glad that they don't smell like mint, and they last reasonably well when you're considering that it's a lip gloss. So here you have all the lip products I was using this month, and that was everything that was in this tray. So here's the last one. This one has face palettes and individual shadows. Talk about reflective packaging. I'm filming this portion on my phone. I find that it actually is a lot easier to film it on my phone than on my DSLR camera. So hopefully the quality is going to be good. I have a new phone, so the camera is actually better than my DSLR camera. But let's start with the Hourglass palette. And this one is the Ambient Diffused Light palette. It's one that I believe I bought in Nordstrom. It's one that has a trio of products. It has a blush and a bronzer. I didn't use these two products this month. I was just using the Ambient Lighting Powder. It's in the shade Diffused Light, and I was using it as a final buff. But since there is a blush and a bronzer, I'm going to go ahead and swatch both of them for you. These are super, super light powder products. You can see the bronzer barely shows up. The blush is a little bit better. I need to actually use this palette with all the products combined and see if I get payoff from those two, because if not, maybe I should pan that product and then declutter the palette, because if these aren't going to show up, then blush is Diffused Heat. I'm not sure if I even have a single of that one, but this month I was just using that for buffing. Then we've got the two Natasha Denona Glam face palettes, which I thought I was not going to purchase. And here's what that looks like. You've got eyeshadows, and then you've got face products. Now, I like the eyeshadows, but I feel that if you have the Biba or if you have the Glam or the Mini Glam, then these eyeshadows are going to be, you know, your typical neutral eyeshadows. There's nothing really spectacular about them above and beyond the typical Natasha Denona formula, which I really, really like. I do like this shade because it's super, super bright, and then the two face colors are nice. The highlighter is super impactful, and the blush I find is really similar to the texture of the Makeup by Mario product, that you kind of have to warm it up. So I am able to pick it up on my finger, and it applies nicely. I can also pick it up with a brush. Let's see. See, I picked up kind of like a chunk of it. It applies much nicer than this swatch would indicate. It's not my favorite product in the palette. I actually prefer the highlighter because it's so powerful. Look at that. It's really, really beaming. And then I'll swatch a couple of the eyeshadows to give you an idea. I'm going to swatch that one and this one, which I like so much. Let's see. And that one is so pretty. I'm glad I have the palette. Do I think you're really missing out? Not really, because as far as blushes go, I have cream formulas that I like more. But if you like applying blush over a set foundation, you might actually like this one because it's not very emollient. So if you have more oily skin, maybe this is a cream product that would work well for you. I do like that it has the little flap. And yeah, it's a nice palette. I'm glad I have it. Here is the deeper version, and it turns out I lied. This one is in brand new pristine condition. I'm not sure why I put it in my drawer. Probably I meant to compare the two, but I haven't used it, so I actually can't comment on this one. I'm gonna save it, and I'm gonna use it this month, and I'll report back at the end of the month and let you know which one I prefer. And last but not least, we have these loose eyeshadows. They're kind of like pigments or individual eyeshadows that have them in their own category. So we'll start with these because if you saw my favorites video or you saw my TikTok video, you already know that I was really disappointed by these. These are the iconic London eyeshadow duos. They were sold out for a super long time. All of a sudden they're back in stock on Sephora. And I was just disappointed because it didn't give me the impact that I was seeing on TikTok videos. So I have the shade Champagne, and one thing I find is that the pencil side is actually pretty difficult to blend out. It sets very, very quickly. And then the shimmer side is a little bit harder to build up. So it looks beautiful, but it is very difficult to build up when it starts layering on itself. I've been using this one for an inner corner highlight or just to tap over the center of my lid. I also have the shade Volcanic. I like this one a little bit more because it has more pigment. It's also like a taupey color. And here's the shimmer for that one. In actuality, I like the crayon from here and the shimmer from that one. And I've just used these in a variety of ways, and I think that they are just okay. Definitely not worth the $30 price tag, in my opinion. I think there's other products that work far better, such as this one from Auric. This is the Smoke Reflect in the shade Defiance. So you have a cream, very emollient, super nice. I like that this gives you playtime. So you are able to blend out the Auric product very, very easily with a brush or with your fingers. The iconic London kind of sets right away. And then here's the topper. So beautiful. Here's the topper by itself. And layered over the cream shadow. It is so, so beautiful. I think that this gives you a much more sophisticated look very easily. These, they make you work for it. So I really enjoy these Auric Smoke Reflex. I have all of them. And that was everything that was in this box. So that is everything for my January beauty report. The way that I'm doing these monthly makeup baskets is that I'm organically reaching for products that interest me in my collection, and then I put them into my monthly basket. So I keep reusing them, and at the end of the month, I can come back and give you a full review with swatches and all of the good stuff. So let me know what you think of this format. It's a little bit different. I know I'm not in the video, but I feel like this way the spotlight is on the products, and that's what it's really about. So if you've been watching this whole time, I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments section, if I should keep filming it in this format or if you have any other recommendations. And as I mentioned, all of the products that are still available will be linked in the description box, which is going to take me about 100 years to fill out. So I do appreciate if you use those links, as it does give me a little kickback so that I can put right back into the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and I think it's just a really great way to support your fellow creators, whether myself or someone else. That's going to be everything for January's beauty report. I hope you did enjoy the video, and if so, please don't forget that big thumbs up for me and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos like this one. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you are notified every single time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for spending a few or a lot of minutes with me today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you again on my next one. Bye-bye.